call this March 10th Giles County School Work Session to order. Dr. Arbogast.
I'm gonna kind of jump around a little bit on the agenda, if that's all right with you. We can do a couple things that should be easier, quicker to get through. That way we have time to talk about things, other things we need to talk about. Construction update, just so everybody's aware, where we stand in the process. Macy, we continue to move along. Going to start, we're gonna start doing some work on the chillers here between now and April 7th, get those back up and running about that time. Hopefully about the time we'll need them. Hopefully not too much before then. They've got some work they can help get done to help get them ready for work in the summer. Giles, Narrows, Eastern, and Giles Tech Center contracts have been signed for those 4 projects. The letters to proceed have been sent out for Eastern and Giles Tech Center. I know contractors and subcontractors have been at Giles High School. They're going to Narrows High School to measure that sort of stuff and getting ready to June 1st, hopefully at that time frame to get moving along and get going. We're waiting to hear from ZMM to get the preliminary construction meeting scheduled at each of the sites so we can start seeing what the schedule is going to look like. Narrows Elementary Middle School bid, we opened that on March 20th. That's next Thursday. And Macy Phase 2, that will be the last one to go out to bid. And that should hopefully go out soon. I've not asked, but I will ask today to see when that is going to be ready to go out. We'd like to get that out, get that ready so we know when that's out as well and taken care of. Questions on any of the 5, 6 sites projects? Another one that was just again to get a couple things done that are quicker. 25-26 school year calendar. That was we talked about at the board retreat on the 20th. Shared with you what the plan was, what the draft looked like. Did you have any questions or concerns or comments? If not, the plan would be to bring it to you at the March 20th board meeting for your approval so that that's taken care of. Again, that would start first day of teachers back August 11th, 2025. First day of school will be August 18th, 2025. Similar holidays as to what we had this year. Basically, this calendar is this year's calendar, just adjusted for the 25-26 days.
All right.
And there is, I think, one teacher work day, 2-hour release we added in February next year that was not in this year's. All right, hearing nothing, we'll make sure that's on the board agenda for the March 20th board meeting.
School nutrition update, provided you with a packet, gave you a February snapshot. Also included in that packet is information from Mrs. Ori. In addition, Mr. Buckland had asked for a look back, and with the information that we have available, we could look back to 2018. I know in conversation with Mr. Buckland, we're trying to do a look forward. David and I are still working on that, but also again, information looking back for our food costs, labor costs, and supply costs back to 2018. This month, with our snapshot, you can see where we stood. It was a short month with weather. February, we only served 14 days. We had 6 virtual days. You can see our a la carte sales have rebounded some in February with more days served. You can go down and see that unfortunately 4 out of our 5 schools show a loss, with 1 school showing a profit. We tried to do some things to mitigate that loss. One of those things that we did was not ordering trucks so to speak. We get a truck every week. We utilize some of our product on hand to mitigate that loss. The last time we were out, we did have to receive a truck because we kind of had gone through our inventory. We're hoping we don't have any more weather days in March. So, but any questions with our February? It looks about like it looks to be about a $4,700 loss for the month of total for February compared to January.
Look at those. So Macy's folks are doing a good job of trying to increase their numbers there from January to February.
Yeah.
Give them a hand for that. That's very important.
We've been working closely with them to try to improve some things. Still have some schools that we need to work on.
The board greatly supports participation up.
Just to give you an update on our summer feeding, I received an email from Ryan Martin from Virginia Tech. I have not had a chance to get back to him. I do know that we had information that went out to the public. We're at 135 families that responded to our survey. That's up 5 from January. I think we need to push it some more on our end with our social media. Maybe send something out when we send out our report cards. Just try to get this word out as much as we can. Need to start plotting the addresses, so to speak, on a map to see where we have concentrations, so we can start arranging delivery locations. There was some preliminary discussion if they can potentially to do door-to-door deliveries, and I think that's fantastic. But that comes down to their resources, and he hasn't confirmed that with me. So I'm happy with where we're at right now, and I hope to see us progress further.
If one thing we might want to look at, and I don't know where the manpower to do this comes from, but this state, whether it's them, whether it's us, whether it's some county resource that we've got, but you know, if we got one family signed up more than the trailer park, but we know that there's multiple families. There's various sites around the county that we know that we've got. Just make sure if we're sending somebody there, or we're already servicing that, make sure we're texting everybody.
Have extra.
Or just even if it's, and like I said, I don't know, the county's got, had that focus group and those things that, you know, if we could figure out getting somebody to go there, contact, call, I mean, if we've probably got the resources to know where those addresses, if we've got a way to say, hey, you know, we know we've got another 20 kids in this, you know, same community, you know, why don't we see if we can do some follow-up? Because, you know, a lot of times, you know, you don't have the most proactive folks there that may not even know about it, so we just want to make sure we get the kids fed.
Good point, sir. I suspect, I mean, I can't promise, but I suspect once this gets rolling in the summer, word will spread, numbers will increase, hopefully, but we will, that's one of the things that we will look into and investigate more, just get the word out. The other thing you had requested at our school board retreat was to reach out to our Department of Social Services. I've done that. I had a good conversation with Sherry Nipper Williams, and told her, well, we were, you know, what information we had, could we do anything to assist? So it was a good conversation, and we'll see where that goes. I talked to her last week, and it does, so our reimbursement number for our CEP is based on Medicaid free, SNAP, TANF, and foster care. And now, this kind of perplexes me a little bit. Our final number is due April 1st, but does not include Medicaid reduced. So we actually have to filter those numbers out. We've been submitting those numbers all year, but for some reason, we have to filter those numbers out when we submit our data at the end of the month. And that came from our state specialist, Mariana Chauvin, and so I looked down through the preliminary data, and there's a handful that we'll have to exclude, but, yeah. I was trying to see if there was anything else. Any questions on school nutrition?
We're gonna, I hope we get things nailed down, check this month, we'll get down to 2 months, school will be out
Yes,
here.
sir, we
We're
are.
gonna depend on church to help us, we can't wait till the last minute.
Yes, sir, I
Get
understand.
it nailed down. If
Yeah,
they gonna do it, what they gonna do?
yeah, we're, I can't speak for Virginia Tech, but I suspect that they're kind of formulating what resources they have and don't have. So I'm hoping to have a conversation with Mr. Martin this week to see kind of a more concrete idea of where we're at with that. I do know there's some mandatory, webinars that he had to, attend through the state. And I do believe they've done that. And I just need to double back with him and see where we're at with that. And hopefully I can report out or keep you up to date as we move forward prior to our next work session. Any additional questions on school nutrition? Okay. Mileage reimbursement, that was one of my questions on my notes. Do we want to move forward with our mileage reimbursement, or do we still want to hold on that?
That's contingent on us reducing our fleet. I mean, that would be, as long as we've got this size fleet, I don't know that that's a big deal, but if we can reduce the fleet, and that may be something, I don't know whether you get feedback from staff that employees that, would they rather get for professional travel that's not involving students, would they rather get reimbursed, drive their own cars and get reimbursed at the federal rate, or continue on like we are and have put the mileage reimbursement? Because I think what I would envision us doing is probably doing something like maybe keep the reimbursement rate if there is a car available, or maybe up it a little bit, but then have the federal reimbursement rate. Scenario one, we say status quo. Scenario two, we reduce the fleet, increase the mileage rate. Now I think we've got to get to where you guys feel. I think it's an internal conversation with the administrators, the program heads. What can we get rid of? I mean, and let's be. What can we get rid of what's sitting around? I mean, I think you use some discretion and get them.
I believe that would be a good conversation with Terry Jones at the garage, a good starting point, and get some information from our staff, their preferences. So let me start gathering that data and get back with you next work session.
At least you get us a while back, I thought you had about half a dozen.
There's potential of half a dozen.
It looked like you're getting rid of all the older ones.
We do
Some of
need
these newer ones, I think, too many Ford Fusions sitting around.
we need to examine more at exactly with that. That's where I'll say that's it. Terry and I've had some off and on little preliminary conversations about things, but we haven't had time to sit down and kind of identify. I do know we transferred 2 out to the county here this month, and we just need to work on the list of our older ones.
Yeah, I think it's just, like Mr. Reed said, I think it's surplus, and the ones we identified now, I think we got surplus those out. Then I think it's looking at some of the newer stuff to say, okay, this one's getting used a lot, let's rotate another one in and get this one out, and I still got some value to it. I just, when you're getting 2,000 miles or 1,000 miles a year on some of these newer vehicles.
Yeah. I agree. One of the things that has come up in previous conversations is we have a sped car that we use quite a bit. It's a Taurus. And I believe somebody had made a comment that we're really using that one a lot. So I did some investigation on that. I don't know that it's going to be, that we can rotate that one out of our fleet because it has some safety equipment in it that we can't transfer over and it's not made anymore. So we probably need to, even though we're using it and it's an older car, we probably need to hold on to that one. So, yeah, let me gather some information. Hopefully have something back at our next conversation for you folks. Vans, you had asked me to look at our vans, used vans. We're purchasing used vans. EVA does not necessarily have that information available right now. So what I did was a Google search and I pulled up information from Evans and TrueCar, and it ranges, you know, Mr. Buckman had given me like a 75,000 mile limit on the vans, and they range anywhere from 38,000 up to, I'm looking one right here, a 2023 is 64,990. I do know when I looked at EVA, the direct purchase cost, I do believe for Ford Transit, basic Ford Transit van, passenger van is 60,000. But if you want to look at those, you want to pass these around.
Yeah, don't mind.
And I didn't run copies for y'all because there's about 15 pages there. So,
They didn't want you on them at all.
sir?
They didn't want you on them at all.
So my investigation there, what that is it's just a hodgepodge of dealers, and you could have a warranty. There could be some in there that does not have a warranty. It's just, you know, basically.
Yeah, whatever's left on the factory.
Yeah.
That 3.5 V6 is bulletproof. We can get about a half. Transmissions are the problems, and
So
motors are getting half a million.
the only,
Easy.
the only issue with that information that I presented there is procurement wise, I don't know how we would pursue that procurement wise, since that is like independent dealers.
We just did that. We did that. The last time we did that was with that truck. And they say, hey, we're looking for, you know, X years, X miles, and they'll come up with something that's responsive.
Is that something we want to move forward on, or is that something we want to hold?
I think we've still got some budget issues we gotta discuss before, but.
Yes, sir. Any questions on transportation or anything related to transportation? I did reach back out to one of our vendors on school buses. Prices look like they're staying about the same. I included that, Mr. Buckman, at our school board retreat, that asked me to kind of put a document together that is in your packet. One of the items on that school bus, 65 passenger school bus, is still sitting around 156,000 for a 65 passenger school bus. We could bid those out and get a little bit of a cheaper price. Just in direction from the board on that. Still waiting on that. Let's see. Driver's ed card, we're holding on that. That was the information I had from our school board retreat. Flashing school zone lights, still waiting on that. I've been directed our school board retreat to reach back out to neighbors. I've reached back out to them. They have their county council meeting this afternoon or tonight. I'm hoping to hear something back from Terry Nicholson on that for sure. The question was, you know, to be in line with what we currently have. Those signs would need a cellular capability, and as you remember from our school board retreat, that's about $2,000 a year fee. According to the information I received from you folks, we are amenable to paying that $2,000 fee, except if mayor's decides to enforce the speed limit with their camera system, that they would, in return of profit, they would pick that up. So I have presented that to Terry, to present to his town council, just waiting back on that issue for that. And again, I have not reached out and got current estimates on that. Our estimate is more than 30 days old. I wanted to have more of a concrete answer because those things expire for 30 days, so hoping I can get an estimate on that, and once I find out kind of where we're going. Take a pause here.
Briefly says. Mr. Martin did his job. Everyone wants to call me Toro. Toro. Just like what I said, I'm the bull of the china shop.
Have some of those messed up down here.
William, thank you very much.
I'm big on this, so you don't know.
You should have said it at the call and say she does get on hands and knees and clean holes. Just say,
I better not. My privileges without the lid.
I've got, I probably have one with that, get you with the lid.
That's
Want the lid?
Nah, maybe Mississippi Cup, I mean, yeah.
That's on my day.
Appreciate it. Grab a little coffee.
Need some paper towels right here.
oh, here's the, listen, there you go. And where?
Any questions on our school speed zone signs? Okay. Moving on to our Head Start building, we reached out to ZMN. Dr. Argas has reached out to a larger classroom company. We have not been able to make contact with an actual modular company to get a hard number on that. So on that document that I provided you, I gave you the information, the latest information I had from Mr. Jones from ZMM. We just have to wait till, I know it was last week that you sent an email. So we've been trying to work on this. I've had several conversations with Mr. Jones on that, and apparently it's a very lengthy process to get a quote. But again, I included that information on there with what I had, and I believe it was around 220-some thousand, which includes installation costs, $220,000, and it's about a $45,000 installation cost. There had been some questions on, who had owned the property down there and did some investigation. The county provided some information. It looks like we do own the property. The one thing I did notice when I was reviewing that information is it appears that it sits in a 100-year floodplain. So I need to get with the county and see what their thoughts are on installing a modern barrier unit down there. So that's my next step. Any questions on that?
They did let us build a field house down there in the same, I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, that's recent, what, 10-year?
At least, yeah,
Good.
10 years, so.
No, but it's in the same. I got the map, yeah, well, it's the same, if that's in it, it's in it, based on that map, I'll see it, so.
Normally those, and I can't give you concrete information on this, but normally those modules do set up off the ground a little bit. So just have to get with, I'm assuming John Ross, have a conversation with him, see what the actual requirements are. I need to probably work and identify sewer and electrical hookup and just hope that one of these companies get back to us.
He's probably gonna tell you survey it, get the benchmark. I think Bob could probably do it.
I'm sorry.
Bob Schuler could probably do it. Get the benchmark.
We get the benchmark, I can reach out and see what, I'm assuming it's John who's.
It may be, was it on that survey that, Yolton did back in '96?
I have to go back and look for sure, I don't wanna say for sure, but, I know I got the information. I just happened to notice it was a 100-year floodplain.
I'd say you can do it, but you'll have to be about raised up high and be out. But he's gonna teach you. He's gonna find that benchmark the hard way.
We will work on that, it's just depending if they want it, if they just want that, or if they want it from like a licensed surveyor or something.
We want somebody to certify it.
Let me see, any questions on the Head Start building?
Hopefully they'll get back to you pretty quick.
Well, we're hoping,
I'll get that going.
a little perplexed why nobody's responded to us, so I'll push that. Going back over just some additional facility information, at Giles High School Southern Air has been out to do a field investigation. I know the winter contractor, the zipping contractor were on site this weekend to start field measurements. We have provided the bleacher color and door samples to GHS. K&A is trying to get everything ordered and get possible can. Ayers High School took the bleacher color samples down to them, Brian and Brian Bowles on Friday, and the two that we actually had pretty close colors. We did have a brief conversation about the locker rooms. I need to reach out to Randy to get with him to see if we can actually pick our lockers and layouts and so forth and see where we're at with that.
What kind of, are we going with like a classic, some sort of deposit?
When I talked to Randy briefly on that, he said we're going back with in-kind type lockers. And currently what Ayers has are metal lockers. Kelly brought up some concerns and issues that they currently have with theirs. And I'm hoping we can reach out to Randy and say, okay, this is our concerns, you know, what can we do to mitigate that?
I think we talked different versions of it.
Because I understand, I think Jeff Williams had the same concerns that Kelly did about just getting humidity in there, and then you got the wet, you know, it's prone to rust, but again, those have been in there a good while, and still in,
2000.
yeah, so I mean, you get 20 years out of them.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much your options are metal, laminate, or wood, like a probably. A lot of team rooms, you see, it's just a personal preference. So I need to get with Randy and see what we can do on that. I know Kelly had mentioned something that would help greatly would be just a ventilation fan in there. So hopefully we can reach out to them and get that conversation started. Again, Dr. Argast alluded to this, basically that work continues, they're prepping everything they can to try to get ready for the summer. They're right now they're setting steel in there for the HVAC units, and they're just trying to work ahead as best they can. Any questions on any of that?
Mr. Coming back on the buses.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Do we have to, why are we keep getting them long 60-something extra buses?
Well, that's the 65.
52 when we used to always.
I can reach out and,
Well, I mean, I don't know why we keep buying them long, you can't come around and have roads in the county.
well, we were buying the 77, I believe it was 77 and 72s, so we kind of quit on that. A lot of what we had were 65 passengers. I have to go back and survey our fleet. I don't know that we have any 52s, but I can definitely reach out and get a quote.
52 or 54, yeah, we had some in the 50s.
Okay.
We used to always buy them in the 50s.
Okay, I can reach out,
But that way, you put them in or out anywhere.
yeah.
And, on the buses, Mr. Chairman, I hope we would, why don't we go and spec out a bus, spec a diesel bus out of a gas bus? What we want to put them out for bid and see what we get.
I think that, let's do that, we'll talk, like I said, with that carryover money, that's something I think we talked to the county about. We raised that the other day, I don't think they were not in the middle on it, but also didn't raise any huge objection to it when we mentioned that, so.
So go ahead.
We still could, after we get the bids back, we're not happy with them, we still could buy a bus off the list now. Off the Eagle list, or wherever you, with the Eagle.
Yes. Yeah, well, there's only,
Either way, I guess.
and I don't know if IC's on any of those lists, I haven't really had an in-depth conversation with them. But we can prepare, if you're okay with it, what I'm hearing is go ahead and bid those out, correct?
Bit mild, yeah.
Spec what you want, or expect the gas and the diesel.
Gas and a diesel now, I will tell you, I'm pretty sure, I will swear to it, I don't think IC makes gas. Thomas, their gas version won't come out till this fall. Bluebird is the only one that currently has a gas option, but I'll put it in there, we'll see what we get. Do you want me to do a 52 or 54, or do you want me to do a 65, how do you want?
I think we should come with the small ones.
I'd like to see the price, yeah.
Do you want to do a 52, 54, and a 65, and just compare?
Yeah, whatever that is, just so we know, can say that the price difference, but I do agree with Mr. Williams that, I think, of course, I'm not a driver, but some of these things I think would make it more simple if they had maneuverability.
Yes, some of the routes are very tight, so I'll put something together and get it out, and hopefully have something back for you at our next work session, okay? At our school board retreat, y'all had asked me to put a document together showing some upcoming projects. The cost associated with those, that's in your packet as well. I will caution that we put as hard numbers in there as we possibly could. In talking to Mr. Sheeler, that some of these paving projects are, between a negative 10% to a plus 25% for the actual final budget. We really won't know until we get some competitive quotes. If you review that and you have any questions, please let me know. And again, this is a working document, so there may be other things added to, adjusted, so forth and so on. So that's the best information I have right now on a lot of these projects. If you see something I have not included, please let me know after you review it, and I will be happy to add that. Any questions for me? That pretty well covers everything that I have.
Just paving, I'm still working, planning on doing it along with the county until we bid it out.
I know Bob has sent a package or a packet to Mr. McClarney to include into their including their bid package, and, I think they are preparing to send that out at some point here in the next little bit.
And they're gonna do that paving by project, so that'll allow us, if we know a project, we wanna make sure it gets done, we can. If we don't have the funding to do one, we know what it would cost.
Good.
That's all I have right now.
They look, those estimates, I know Laura ain't talked about things, it's good. Hopefully we do most of it. Yeah, we do.
All right, thank you, sir.
Let's talk, budget, so we can get, have that conversation sent to you on Friday, I believe it was. Benchmark salary comparisons. This compares us, Giles County, to other divisions around us, showing you where teacher pay ranks, teacher assistants, bus drivers, secretaries, nurses, administrators, central office, cafeteria, et cetera, what that looks like compared to others. You see, based on the teacher salary scale, this is just the bachelor scale, we're anywhere from second to fourth in those benchmark 5-year ranges compared to the other districts around us. That's Bland, Craig, Floyd, Grayson, Montgomery, Pulaski, Radford, Smith, Tazewell, and Whip. If you look at the state comparison, we're anywhere from 74th at the upper range to 84th, which is move compared to where we were several years ago. Just some things to caution you about some of these classifications. If you look at particularly teacher assistants, if you look at those, a bit different. Each division has their teacher assistants doing different number of hours. Some are 7 hours, 180 days. Some are 7.25 hours, 183 days. Ours are 190 days, 200 days based on 6 hours a day. You can adjust that salary that's there to get a 7 hour, 6.5, etc. But again, just to think about, each one of those is probably a different number of days, and I tried to include it, catch some of it out there on the far right. I don't know if I caught it all. Bus drivers similarly, some divisions count them as split them up, regular route, long route, based them on 4.5 hours a day or 4.25 hours a day. Different number of length days. Secretaries, again, similar type thing. Some are in the 10.5 months, some are 200 days, some are 10 months, 7.5 hours, some are 12 months. It depends on. But I tried to put numbers in there to give you an idea to compare them as best that can be compared. Central office, I gave you the titles that the other counties had based on their salary scales compared to what was shared. And then I updated, I had cafeteria in there as well. Questions on any of those?
Going back to the teacher assistants, kind of looks like we might be somewhat of an outlier about the number of days and such that we ask them to do. Is that something we may look to adjust, or?
I mean, if you keep in mind that we say 200 days, 10 of those days are holidays.
Okay.
You got a holiday in September, 2 in November, 1 in December, 2 in January, 3 in April, and 1 in May. So there's 10 holidays included there. I don't know how the other school divisions calculate, their contracted days for their employees, I don't know. But I think what we've tried to do historically and normally is 10 month, I think 10 month, there's 10 holidays, 11 months, there's been 11 holidays included, and 12 months, there's 12 holidays included. And sometimes that fluctuates, sometimes it's 13, sometimes it's 12, but I think that's historically for the other classifications. Now, could they be taken out? They could probably be. You'd be at 190 just like the others, but.
It may just be semantics.
It's what I think. And I don't know, is that the right way, wrong way? I don't know. That's the way historically it's been done. And that's similar to teachers. Teachers, I think some divisions are 200, ours are 210, but again, there's 10 holiday days included there as well, so. And if you want to see a different division there, let me know. I can look and find any other division. Try to include it there. Any other questions on those? And again, if you want to see something different, see it in a different format, let me know. We can maneuver it around. If you need additional information, let me know. I can get that. I can add that too as well. During the school board retreat, we talked about what was included in the budget. Based on that conversation, or what was proposed in the budget, using the governor's proposal. Based on that conversation, I created several different options that we could look at, and I believe the option that we talked about was to make sure that we included the salary increases for employees, move the all-in spending those positions back in the budget, and include additional funding for personnel here at the board office. That got us to a fifth or sixth option above what we talked about. So if you look,
Have one more there.
sorry, I thought I ran enough of them all.
Good job.
I'll
Sorry, I
take it. I'll take it.
Thank you. Oh, here's the next one.
There you go.
I'll get that on there.
What that includes there, it goes back to what we talked about at the board retreat. And moves, the two reading specialists out of all in and the reading coordinator back into the budget. And it includes, the average 3% salary increases like we talked about that were in the proposal, for all employees. And it includes, an additional, $3,000 for, individuals up here. And you see where that gets you. That's based on the governor's proposal. Thursday evening, I think it was Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, we got an update from DOE. They had created the calc tool for the General Assembly proposal. General Assembly proposal is, much better, or is better, overall for us. There's additional funding in that, General Assembly budget. There is, we talked about it, in that General Assembly budget there, you see there, it's still, there is a, what they're calling a special education add-on funding, which is an additional allotment, about $195,000. You don't see it in there yet, because I haven't had a chance to sit down and talk to David about this, because we just got it on Friday. That's an additional funding provided for special education for the 25-26 school year based on the add-on to the basic aid for pupil student. So that's an additional funding. Compensation supplement that's still in there, an additional 3%. Increase effective July 1 for SOT personnel. And we've got it for school districts, must provide an additional 1.5% to be eligible for a prorate of the state payment. I will say this, but again, I'm still recommending to you all to do an average 3% salary increase. But again, school divisions that provided an average increase in excess of 3% in the first year, which was this year, may credit the excess portion toward the second year for the purpose of accessing the funds. We talked about a bonus. The General Assembly included SOQ position bonus. That is the state payment. It's about $210,000. It's $210,000. And you see it in, I don't know that I put it in there because it's for this year. It's $210,431. That's based on a $1,000 bonus and Social Security tax for SOQ funded instructional and support positions. School divisions have the discretion to determine the amount of the bonuses to be paid per employee to maximize the use of these state funds to promote retention and among instructional support staff. Based on the information that I have read regarding that bonus, it says that the bonuses would be paid to instructional support positions no later than June 1st, 2025. So for us to do the $1,000 bonus effective June 1st, 2025, it would be an additional probably, what, 165,000. And if the board wants to do the 1,000, we could probably come up with it. you wanna split, use the 210 and make sure we have stuff, the carryover, use the carryover for renovation, that's another option. Is that about right?
Personally, I think if we were gonna spend $160,000, it's to keep pace with what we've done salary-wise before. Continue to maintain our position within the region and continue to make sure that the comp going forward. I think that, personally, I think that the one-time bonus, if we do that, utilize those funds for that's gonna hurt us in that process of us trying to continue to maintain, very competitive salary and benefits.
Just a couple other items to keep in mind that are not included here yet. Again, I don't know that we've talked a little bit about it, but if we have retirements at the tech center, I don't anticipate anybody retiring now, this year, but there could be some that retire at the end of next year. I don't know if you want to put a position in to have somebody hired half year work to train them or not. Don't know if you want to look at more funding for individuals up here at the board office. That sort of thing. But again, I've not talked to David about this because we got this Friday. We've not had the opportunity to sit down and really go through this. But you see the General Assembly budget does include a little bit more funding in there for us. And I should tell you that you can mark that ADM number that's down on the bottom on that page is 2130 is what I used for this General Assembly. Compared to the governor's proposal, I had 2135. So I think 2130 is going to be closer. We should be at 2130, if not a little bit higher.
No, that's much.
But that 2170 on there is incorrect. I did not change that. I should change that.
That number's much more powerful.
And I think when we include the other additional special ed money, that number will change, go down even more. So I think that's. I'm trying to think. I believe this number that you got there includes adding 2 reading specialists and a special ed coordinator position in that number. That's on that last one, that General Assembly proposal 4A.
Is that 196?
196.
I think that gives us, we just felt Melissa a long time ago. We had a discussion with the county. It was what we had discussed before, just kind of cluing them in that we might be needing some funding, just based on lower ADM and some other things is what we decided to do. Also previewed, just to go ahead and get ahead of it, the fact that this year,
Thank you.
we're gonna cover the $260,000 out of that all-in spending, the reading specialist, the reading coordinator, but those positions would have to be funded in the future. So that's something, just to go ahead and let them know.
Something else you need to keep in mind, it doesn't affect next year, but it will affect the next biennium. Our local composite index is currently 0.2117. Based on what the county is going through with reassessment, property values are gonna go up. I think sales have gone up. So that local composite number for the 20 26, 28 biennium could change and go up. If that goes up, that means less state funding. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind.
Well,
Because it does, again, it doesn't affect next year, but it does the next biennium. Depending on, and I don't know how much, it's a big formula, I don't know how much it's gonna affect, I can't predict. Now stride will offset that a little bit, but again, I don't know where it will end up.
we had that as part of the discussion. What the county's gonna try to do is Mr. Carter's gonna try to figure out, try to get some information, how they calculate the LCI, I get that included in.
I gave it to him.
Yeah, so if we get those numbers, then the other thing we need to look at is maybe how much extra stride students help us to counteract the lower LCI to where we might need to adjust our management fee to encourage them to use us more, something like that, because if stride left us, we'd be in a world of hurt.
I think it's, Dave, you correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it's necessarily the stride admin fee, it's the number of kids that we have at the stride.
Well, that's what I'm.
That kicks our ADM number up total, and the bigger our total number of ADM, that's in the formula.
Well, what I'm saying is if we need to encourage them, we need to find out how much we're getting in admin fee and how much we're getting in lower LCI for each student. And if there's a sweet spot there somewhere that we may or may not be in, but 500 extra students lowers LCI, and it's an incentive to them to maybe not even charge an admin fee or something. Whatever those negotiating points are, to maximize that because it's helping the county on that end of it. But that's kind of what they're going to try to look at, is just kind of try to get ahead of that and see what those numbers will be. And what I think, we talked to them about it, they're aware of it. The feedback I got from it was they would like to know the issues Terry's budget from last year.
I didn't print that off.
But that's fine. Basically we can explain a little bit. They want to know, they're aware that we got last year about 1.2 in additional funding, 1.2 million, and they want to understand where that went. And that's a reasonable question. We explain that. A lot of it went to raises, a lot of it went to STEM.
Yeah, if you remember last year, it's similar to what that right there for this year. It kind of outlined bullet by bullet what we spent the money on.
And I think going forward, just, I think we're at the point in the budget, we've got to get some certainty from whichever option is going to be, but I think
That's why I'm looking for some feedback from you all, see if I'm going in the right direction, because I have the option that I shared with you at the retreat to that option there with the General Assembly, and there's 5 other options in between. I just need to have an idea so we know where to go and what to include and what not to include.
any idea when they're going back?
It's April sometime. You heard it,
I think the second beginning.
I thought I heard it was said that the 8th of April, but I wasn't sure when. And I've not heard much talk or chatter about this, to be honest with you, proposal, since, have you?
I think the problem we run into is our approach and what we need to ask for is vastly different depending on what 2 options are there. We've got the same needs. I think it's just, I'd like to know what the numbers are for all those options, because again, those are things that we need to plan for in the event. I have no problem asking for the number of the General Assembly budget, because I think it's reasonable, it's in line with what we've done before. I think we continue to monitor the situation. we provide that information next month. What, last year's budget, what we spent the additional funding on and discuss that more with county. If anybody's got a different idea.
Is there anything that you wanna see that you haven't heard that you wanted to see in there?
I know we help catch up on our aides, secretaries, and some staffers, such all, I really do something, if we can find it, need to try to do something, catching on, let's get back to the middle of the pack.
I think I think that would be the one thing that we could look at is some, try and get, and I know it's difficult, but especially the TAs and the secretaries and bookkeepers, seeing kind of where we rank. I know it's somewhat apples to oranges because of different work agreements, but let's try to get those, see what it takes to get those in line with that, and then we also look at central office as well comparable, because again, it's, difficult, but sometimes to compare, given the different responsibilities, different divisions, are used, so we'll just see that. So that is where we're behind, or it appears that we could be behind.
Well, I'll give, David and myself time to sit down over the next couple of weeks, look at it, refine these numbers, make sure we got everything included where it needs to be. I'll look at these TAs, secretaries, bookkeepers, try to, take what information you've got there, try to make sure, see if I can compare them as close to each other as possible. And then provide that information to you.
And I think what we look at, I think for the board, we need to be thinking about what we wanna do if bonuses are included, SOQ bonuses, whether we want to spread that around, amongst everyone, or we want to supplement. Yeah, we heard the number, I believe, is 160,000 roundabouts to get.
I think we have 375 employees, I think it's about right around there, so somewhere in that neighborhood, so it's 210,000 for 436, 463, something like that we're getting funding from the state, so you see how much we have to
consider that, and then once we get solid numbers, I do think it's before we go for the final ask and just to make sure we understand those options. Philip and I discussed with you the other day about, just what those would cost, just so we'll have that there to answer. We'll pick what we want to go, and I think it's what you've already proposed. I think it's the road we would like to go down. But just to have those numbers for other alternatives to ask for.
And those other alternatives will depend, because again, everything except this one that you've got there was based on the governor's. Nothing was based on the General Assembly except that last one I just gave you. So all those other ones all that will change. All right, so based on that. And again, depending on what they do in April, you got the governor, you got the General Assembly. If they do something that comes in between, it'll fluctuate until we know for sure.
I think love this every year we get through no fault of you guys. Are just getting wait for politicians to decide what they're gonna do.
But if you're comfortable with it, what we'll do is we'll tweak this last Office 4A General Assembly proposal, get the numbers in there, finalize that, work on the TAs, secretaries, bookkeepers, like the central officer, like you asked. Then I'll, within a week or so, get with you all, whoever the two of you want to do, sit down, talk through it. We need to tweak it again, we can, then we'll push it out to everybody. Okay.
I hope, like I said, I hope we can at least get everybody back close to the middle of the pack anyway. The other point Mr. Florian made the other day, we got discussed stuff, was that, he figures that the county's supporting us in help about $900,000 a year now. For custodians and everything, the county support's it's not in our budgets. The county's subsidized about 900,000. Ain't bad. Thank you.
Yes. No, it is good not to have too much worry about that on this side. Especially since they've got pockets.
You go address theirs down here.
That's something, it is, some of it is included, a little bit when we talk about some of this one. And now, if you want more,
We can talk about that specifically in closed session, because I think it's specific, it's more specifically identifiable employees. So I think we do that just to discuss, because it is specifically identifiable, with closed session topic.
thanks, around. Careful as I could.
But we'll go and close and talk about it later.
That's what I have for me, that's all, really all I have, unless y'all got something else.
Yeah, thank you for putting all this together.
You're welcome.
Spent a lot of time.
Anything else anybody wanted to discuss with Dr. Argyle? Mike or Lisa? Thank you guys for putting on, we said at the board meeting, but thanks for all the information you gave us during the retreat, very helpful, very useful. Thanks for Mike putting all this together on this number, that's good to have that. As we're discussing spending everything. But no, it looks like we've got, those are good, those are actually better numbers than I thought. We can get on some of those proposed numbers, so that's good.
I'll say ZMM gave us, I think, per dot, per, whatever it is, per square yard, or whatever. What they was projecting.
Boy, on this way to get back, it's just a big thing, it's just sad. Do you have anything else you want to discuss? We want to get a closed session, anybody wants to go, we can talk about that, those personnel items. Terry was referencing, just so we can discuss that a little bit. Give him some guidance maybe.
I'll make a motion to go close session.
Motion say, any discussion? Fair to say aye.